Charch for Profit. It's a fantasy football thing. Joining us now, Paul Charchian. Paul Charchian, it's Paul Allen, 9 to noon, Nordo by my side. What's going on with you, Polly Wally?
Well, I don't think you and I have talked since before. And Nordo, if you can help me, because I'm looping back to myself, that would be great. I don't think we've talked since before Europe. That is not cool, Paul. I do not like it when we text and talk less than people know.
Well, I think that's an absolute indicator as to why, with all three of my fantasy football leagues, I'm out of all three of them. I'm chopped in every single one because I'm not having conversations with Charchy.
That is not cool. Is your
audio a bit better?
Yeah, it is better. Okay. It's a boring story of how I couldn't get my normal microphone to connect up to KFAN, and it took me 2 months or so to figure it out. But we're finally there. I hope I sound good right now.
What'd you think of the Vikings' victory over the Lions?
I felt it was the most needed victory of the KOC era. And maybe the most gratifying, and that's saying a lot because we've had all these amazing comeback wins. When we look at the long term, where this team felt like it was a week ago today compared to where it is today, long term feeling among Viking fans was pretty down. And just to get some reinforcement that when this team's got its players on the field, it can perform at a much higher level, especially with the offensive line, and then to have JJ play a good game. And I just feel like this was, for everybody whose dauber was down, that was feeling consternation about the future of the Vikings, this was as important as any win in the KOC era. And I don't think that's hyperbole, Paul.
Denver,
what do you think?
It was badly needed. It's when you get Van Ginkel with Grenard and Cashman. It's amazing what happens with Javon Hargrave. He had 2 sacks in the first game of the year with all three of those guys. He had 1 at Ford Field. The interior of the Vikings defense was as active as we had seen in quite some time. Van Ginkel has a lot to do with that. You can do a lot of different things with Harrison Smith, as Jared Goff learned. So, that's kind of like part of the secret formula there. And then from an offensive standpoint, the quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, just from the first step to the end with mistakes and accolades in the middle. He just looked the part and looked calmer than in the previous 2 games. That was like
the poise.
The poise.
Yep.
Yeah,
it was great.
He handled things with a plum, kind of like Bo Nix has been doing since maybe the first 5, 6, 7 games of his career. And Denver plays tonight. So what chance? What chance? Let's go over Archer and then get to the details. What chance do you give the Denver Broncos, Paul Charchian, of getting to the Super Bowl?
10%, 20. I'll go 20% as an answer to that. They're in a good spot they're going to make the playoffs. They're 7-2 operation, tied with the best record in the AFC. Their defense is phenomenal, Paul. They have arguably and statistically the best pass rush in the NFL, which I don't think people know because you think of Patrick Surtain as the identity of that defense. The pass rush is fantastic. Even without Surtain, they've got Riley Moss on the other side, Paul. He is the most targeted cornerback in the NFL, but he also has the lowest completion rate of any cornerback. And so people are throwing at Riley Moss, and it's not working. It's to say they're very complete defensively. They're also really tough to run against. We're going to see Ashton Genty likely struggle tonight against Denver. It's really a defense that doesn't have many, if any, weaknesses to it. So there's that. But the offense is all over the place. And Bo Nix has been part of the problem. He's been good against bad teams. He's been bad against good defenses. Like last week, they had this ugly, just bloody affair with the Houston Texans, 2 of the 5 best defenses in the league. Sixter gets knocked out of that game. Bo Nix was absolutely humbled in that game. He's still not a guy that you feel like you can roll in against great defenses like you would see in the playoffs and do well. I don't think we've seen that version of Bo Nix yet.
Okay, so with this ballyhooed 7-2 squad from the AFC West and victorious, this team has won 6 consecutive, Paul Charchian. What fantasy value do the Denver Broncos either offer this evening or consistently offer?
Well, I want to highlight Troy Franklin, I believe their new go-to wide receiver. For years, the Broncos alpha has been that big-bodied beast, Cortland Sutton. But the baton seems to be handing off to Troy Franklin right now, the sophomore. Over the last 3 games, he leads the team in targets and air yards. 5 end zone targets for Troy Franklin in the last 3 weeks. That's crazy. There's some receivers who get that all year. Among all wide receivers in the league, Troy Franklin is 4th in air yards. So they're going deep to him. And this is a good matchup against a pretty bad Raiders secondary. They got Eric Stokes, the cast-off from the Packers, who's been playing pretty well, but the rest of their secondary is not good. And this is a really nice opportunity for Franklin. And I think he's going to be one of the guys I would watch tonight, and I would start in your fantasy league tonight.
So like Ashton Genty. I mean, the Raiders, after winning the first game of the year and looking like they might be something, I mean, it's just been there's so much rigmarole and so many metaphorical moguls they have to overcome during the course of the year. They're just not that good. Meanwhile, Ashton Genty. Genty has topped 100 yards just once all year. Well, now he gets these monsters at Mile High. What do you think about Genty tonight?
Yeah, it's been a frustrating season because he looked like he was just going to run away with Rookie of the Year at the point of the draft, special talent, and then he gets behind a horrible offensive line that is giving him the lowest yards before contact. He's less than 1 yard before contact. But Genty is so good, Paul. His avoided tackle rate is behind Bijan Robinson and Jonathan Taylor, and that's it. Then it's Ashton Genty. He's making dudes miss all over the field. And he's doing whatever he can when he gets the ball and suddenly looking at 3 defenders. It's been tough. Everybody, when they face the Broncos, all these teams, they want to get a run game going because of the pass rush and Patrick Surtain and all the stuff that we just talked about. But they're really good against the run. They just held Houston's runners to 2.5 yards per carry. No back has topped 60 rushing yards since week 3 against Denver. And they're great against the pass running backs as well. Only one runner has topped 8 receiving yards over the last month against Denver. So Genty, who's a great two-way player, he may not get it done either way tonight. It's going to be a tricky matchup for him.
Hey, NFL at large, Charch, if I'm chasing, I need some wide receiver talent. Trade deadline, big names were mostly defense, but this Rashid Shaheed cat going up to the Seahawks, we know what Jackson Smith and Jigba can do with Sam Darnold. Does Shaheed on his own right, maybe as a deep threat speed guy, have value? And does he eat in at all to what you're getting from JSN?
So JSN's one of the best stories of the year. They were already getting some good deep ball completions to Jackson Smith and Jigba. He leads the NFL in long receptions of 20 or more yards. But this is a whole different cat with Rashid Shaheed. He gives you like this deep vertical speed. He was already 12th in air yards this season, despite getting worm burners from Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler. He is all about opening up the defense. And now imagine you are playing deep safety against Seattle. And the play's developing, and both Jackson Smith and Jigba and Rashid Shaheed are running deep. What do? The temptation is going to be to collapse on Jackson Smith and Jigba, and it's going to leave Rashid Shaheed in single coverage a lot on deep passes, his specialty. Sam Darnold leads all quarterbacks in deep ball accuracy. He's number 2 in deep ball completions behind only Matthew Stafford this year. So, he's throwing great deep balls, and they've got a deep ball specialist now in Rashid Shaheed. He's another reason why I think the best and most complete team in the NFC is the Seattle Seahawks.
Hey, staying in that division, Charch, with Jacoby Brissett, who I think actually for that team is probably the better quarterback in totality over Kyler, health-wise or anything included. Yeah. And I'm just curious because it feels like with Brissett that if you're a Marvin Harrison Jr. Owner, fantasy-wise, that you've seen a boost. If you're a Trey McBride owner in fantasy, you get all the catches and yards, but now you're seeing the touchdowns too. What say you about Brissett and maybe how that changes the landscape of things for the Cards?
Well, Nordo Brissett's been the better passer. I mean, he's got 3 starts, multiple touchdowns in every one of those starts. He's got more passing yards in each of his 3 starts than Kyler Murray had in any of his 5 starts. I mean, this offense is just better with Jacoby Brissett. And this feels like a chance to take cheap shots at Kyler. Particularly, we don't even know how legit this foot injury is because it looked like nothing when it happened. But I think I'm going to try to avoid the temptation. But do you guys buy into what I think part of the narrative on Kyler Murray is that his body language looks disinterested when then you see Jacoby Brissett out there and it looks like he is playing with fire in his belly. Like Brissett knows that every game might be my last start in the NFL and I have to go do whatever it takes to win. And Murray doesn't feel like he has that. You have to be really careful about, we don't know what's in his heart. We don't know what's in his mind, any player. And so it's tempting to look at somebody who seems disinterested and say that. But I feel like with Murray, there's something to that common thinking about Murray. What do you guys think?
Well, from a body language standpoint, I would be remiss to comment because I haven't paid attention to it. So now that you've mentioned it, if and or when he returns, I will watch for it. Secondly, if you're an offensive coordinator, they may not open up and say this publicly the way I'm going to put it, but all offensive coordinators want quarterbacks who go on 3, 5, and 7-step drops. They do it straight in the pocket, and then they float left or right or maybe bootleg by design and not necessarily take the like say the Kyler's will card and do it the way they want to do it. And he's on the diminutive side. So when he gets hurt, there's always a major risk he gets that when he gets hit, there's a major risk he gets hurt. So coordinators like quarterbacks, specifically backup quarterbacks who play like Jacoby Brissett, where it's follow the plan because they all think their plan is the greatest plan in the history of plans. You know what I mean?
Yes, and Brissett, I think, is somebody who just learned how to do that. And he's been on all these bad teams. He's been on 6 different teams. All of them have been bad teams. It feels like they've captured just a little something here with Arizona, where it's not as bad of a team, and it was waiting for some kind of spark that Jacoby Brissett is bringing. And you know that based on his stops and the way that coaches talk about him, and when he has had to play, he is a smart guy who will go out and execute an offense as best he can. And to this point, this looks like an Arizona offense that just needed somebody to come in and just be competent and do what this offense wants it to do. And because Brissett's that guy.
Old school, best school.
PA and Charch.
It's Paul Charch here. Is Philly at Green Bay a fantasy feast?
Maybe a little bit more. These are 2 pretty good defenses, and boy, Jordan Love with 2 of the worst passes of the year in the same game. And it's been super inconsistent. It feels like a low scoring game. Green Bay's run defense has been terrific. Philadelphia's defense not as good this year as last year because they lost a lot of players in the offseason, but still really good. And they've got the 2 great cornerbacks, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. So I doesn't feel like there's a lot of fantasy explosiveness here, but I'll say this. The Green Bay secondary is not as good as we thought it was going to be rolling into the year. And they've had some legit troubles against good quarterbacks. And in some cases, not even that good a quarterback. They've given up multiple touchdown passes to 5 of the past 6 quarterbacks that they have faced, including Jacoby Brissett, who we just mentioned. And have we ever seen a team that's played to the level of their opposition, like precisely to the level of their opposition, more than this group of Packers? You've got a tie on the books already. 3-point game against Cleveland, a 3-point game last week. All of their games since really week 1 have been within 1 score. It's uncanny how these Packers are playing right to the level of their opponents.
Pecan.
Looking at this weekend's game at US Bank Stadium, you've talked about it, whether it's, Derrick Henry, the early season fumbles, and he's been shut down a fair amount, although he kind of had a bit of resurgence recently. What jumps out to you about, is Vikings Ravens potentially a fantasy feast, Charch?
It might be. Although I want to mention this. If you look at the stats for the Ravens through the first 6 games of the year, they were so hurt on defense. They were missing like entire secondaries and they come in, the timing on playing the Ravens couldn't be worse for the Vikings because they're basically all healthy now with one notable exception. What they've done in the last three games, John Harbaugh's resurrected the Ravens by using Derrick Henry as a workhorse. 21 carries on average over these last 3 games. And in games with at least 18 carries, Derrick Henry's averaging 120 rushing yards. So it's, they will be very, very stubborn with Derrick Henry, which was not always the case this year. There were a few games where they got behind and they just gave up on Henry. But that is, I don't believe that's going to end up being the case here and what's going to be much closer to a slugfest. And I think we're going to just see a ton of Henry here. And it's as great as the Vikings run defense was against Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously totally different schematic player with Derrick Henry, what they bring to the table.
All right. Last one. Which is a worst fantasy game? Cleveland at the Jets or Saints at the Panthers?
Cleveland Jets is pretty bad. You got to feel bad for Breece Hall, right? You're Breece Hall. You're one of the 10 best runners in the league. You're languishing during your 4-year career in New York. You're taking handoffs from Zach Wilson and Mike White and Trevor Siemian and Tim Boyle. And trade deadline comes, and the Jets are sellers. So you're Breece Hall, and you're like, will you just please trade me? You'll get some draft picks. I'm going to get out of here anyway. I'm heading to free agency. They don't trade him. It's got to be demoralizing to know you have to play another half season, which that's barrel away to the top pick in the draft. And now they're without Sauce Gardner and Quinion Williams, so they're going to be giving up a ton of points. They're probably not even going to be running Breece Hall that much because they're going to be losing a lot of games. Game scripts to go against him. And it's a brutal matchup with Cleveland, by the way. That's the best run defense in the league. So poor Breece Hall. It's a bad week for Breece Hall, and it's going to continue on Sunday.
Can you, if you're in a pinch, can you mix in some Harold Fannin Jr.?
Yeah, you can. That kid is, as we know, because we saw him work the Vikings. That kid is really, really good. People thought David Njoku would get traded at the deadline because Fannin is so good, but that didn't end up happening. And Fannin remains as it's the only 2 tight end offense where you can actually start both of those tight ends in fantasy. All
right, my brother, we miss you. We love you. We look forward to chatting with you each and every Thursday. Thank you for the fantasy football feast speculation, and have a beautiful day, okay?
We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye, my man.
Paul Charchian, as we take you to Charch each and every week on Thursdays. Now, the Friday football feast is at Buffalo Wild Wings Elk River tomorrow. We do have one little baby fantasy segment we call IHOP. It's IHOP, IHOP, in honor of Paul. And tomorrow, I think we hit on running backs. So that'll be tomorrow with Alec Lewis, Nordo, and yours truly.
Did you pick T. Higgins, by the way?
That's a very good question.
I can't remember whether you did that in jest and then chose somebody else.
No.
Because you ran it up a bit if you did indeed stick with Higgins.
I can tell you right now, if you really, really want to know, let me get into the old phone contraption, then into the notes and find the IHOP. What's IHOP stand for?
It stands for In Honor of Paul.
Paul Charchian did a decade and a half of fantasy football feast, so, I think it's the least we can do.
I can only imagine that he's missing. He can say he misses us. It's cool to connect with him, do the weekly bit. Glad that he figured out, and it only took him 2 months to figure out how to not use the laptop microphone in his home nuclear bunker. Mm-hmm. But I imagine he kind of misses Elk River. Just a sweet little drive up 94 there, some good restaurants around there. Just good place, good vibes on a Friday. It's, Monticello's a little bit farther out, but still kind of the same kind of energy emanating from Elk River. I bet Charch would miss being in Elk River. But that's why we do IHOP in honor of Paul on a weekly basis, our own little fantasy baby game.
Justin Jefferson for Eric Nordquist.
Sweet.
Had a touchdown. I was going to take Jamar Chase. Alex sniped me with Jamar Chase.
Yes.
And I'm like, I thought you were going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown. I can't believe you didn't take Amon-Ra St. Brown. Well, I'm not taking Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's bad for business.
It is.
So I took T. Higgins. And they scored 2 touchdowns.
Well done.
So, I kind of fell into him, to be honest, because Alec took Jamar Chase. So, the fantasy-less scribe got 0 points.
Oof.
I got 36. You got 28. The fantasy-less scribe has 22.
Okay.
So he's in arrears.
Yes, he is.
You're just going to really make my life difficult the rest of the way, aren't you?
I am.
Holy cow.
Well, I need to make it at least competitive so we don't quit this in 2 weeks.
No, we're not quitting it in 2 weeks because I'll do it all by myself because you guys don't care about Paul Charchian and honoring things that took place. Because you know what? For millennials like you, the world just started 5 years ago.
That is correct.
But for somebody like me, I have reverence and respect for somebody who started something with yours truly called the Friday
it ended 5 years ago.
Friday Football Feast. And so in honor of Paul. Running backs this week from Elk River. Cash right now.
The Fan, along with two men in a junk truck, want to give you a shot at some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. The keyword is grand. You could win a grand if you enter the keyword grand at KFAN.com. Keyword grand, KFAN.com.
Slayton native Alan Roach. Learn more about him via X at Mile High Roach. He's the voice of U.S. Bank Stadium, Super Bowls, and voice of the Avs at Ball Arena. And he's the Vox of all Voxes. Ever to Vox, here comes Roachy. Alan, did you scare anybody good on Halloween with that big voice?
No. Nope. Kept the light. Kids are all gone. My kids are all gone.
Yeah.
So we were the anti-Halloween family. Turn the lights off and hope that no one knocks on the door. And it worked. Maybe for the first time ever, 0 knocks on the Roachy door this Halloween.
And I mean, we maybe you've thought of this, but like you don't have to go full, with that beautiful gift God gave you, that voice. You don't have to go full costume or like dress up like Scream Guy or Frankenstein or anything like that. I mean, you could just, like, if it's dark, you could hide around the corner and just use your voice and people would get scared. And because they wouldn't know where it was coming from.
I find that to be mean. I remember as a kid, walking around with a bag of candy and you see what you think is a stuffed scarecrow sitting on a chair, and then the scarecrow jumps up as you walk to the door. That stuff would send me running down the block.
Hey,
so I don't do that to the youngins.
With the home game this weekend, Minnesota Vikings, Baltimore Ravens. Vox of all Voxes, ever to Vox time is noon for the boom. And it's nice to have a string of Sunday noon games, don't you think? I mean, these guys crave routine. Last week was road Sunday noon, 1 o'clock Eastern. Home Sunday noon for Roachy this weekend. Same thing for the Bears a week from Sunday. It's just nice to settle into that groove, don't you think?
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of talk about that this week. And my question to that is, when does the routine become routine? Mm-hmm. Because you can't say that last week is when the routine started, because the noon game last week was the outlier. So now we've had 2 noon games in a row, which I guess is probably the only time since the Dublin and the London games, but those were weird because they were on some other continent. But yeah, there's something to be said for that, I'm sure, for the players, but I think it takes, certainly more than 1 week to have a string of noon games. So when do you start feeling the benefits of that? Right.
I think they feel it now. I mean, I think a lot of them felt it when they got to Ford Field. And it was almost like, wow, this is what I prefer most. This is where I am at my best. And here it is. So let's give your best when your best is required. Let's do it against the Ravens. Let's do it against the Bears. Then we'll worry about old Sammy D after that. With the Ravens, Alan, Vox of all Voxes, ever to Vox. What excites you about this one?
Well, obviously the fact that the Ravens have been struggling, that means they're going to come in kind of with that back against the wall mentality, which can be scary, but U.S. Bank Stadium is a very difficult place to play. One thing I've kind of enjoyed looking forward to is, if you remember, and I heard you just talking about it with Charch about now I can't. Who's the gigantic running back for the Ravens? Why can't I?
Derrick Henry.
Escaping. Thank you very much. Number 22.
Yeah.
There were 2 games early in the season. Was it week 2 and 3? Was it week 1 and 2? It was somewhere back there early. And Charch talked that earlier in the season they'd kind of taken the ball out of Derrick Henry's hands. Well, part of that was because Derrick Henry had 2 disastrous fumbles at incredibly critical parts of the game in back-to-back games, which cost them 2 L's. And that's when I think they took the ball away from him a little bit. Now they've gone back to him. How delicious would it be to knock the ball out of number 22's hands right into the purple number 22's hands in the first or second drive of the game this Sunday?
Alan Roach at Mile High Roach via Twitter. He's the voice of U.S. Bank Stadium. Are they introducing the offense first?
I knew you were going to ask me, and I kind of had been racking my brain trying to remember what we did in the last home game. It would have been Carson Wentz at quarterback, so I kind of think, I don't even, who was our last home game?
Philly.
I think they did the offense then, so I'm guessing we're set for defense this year?
Yeah,
this week?
They rotate, right? I mean, because Atlanta was offense, Cincy was defense. Philly. So that means no J.J. McCarthy. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's written in stone anywhere that they have to go back and forth, but I think for the most part they flip-flop. Maybe if there's, a reason in someone's mind to announce one or the other, that's the way it's going to go.
Last time we talked about this, Alan Roach, voice of U.S. Bank Stadium, got us all fired up for the kid quarterback against Atlanta, then we failed to score a touchdown. What's your response to that, Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox?
Yeah, I went from one of the highest of highs in announcing the return of Adam Thielen and announcing the kid quarterback and announcing JJ last out of the tunnel while the older JJ, Justin Jefferson. And then, then there was a lot of badness that happened in the 3 hours after that. I'm looking forward to, JJ having his chance at home. Something I thought a lot about over the last couple of weeks, and you can look at it many different ways. J.J. McCarthy, in some ways, because of fate, has been put into maybe a better situation than he would have if he wouldn't have been hurt. Now, I think that the worst thing that's happened to the Vikings this year is that they, stumbled and bumbled their way to a 3-4 record, and in that 3-4 record, the quarterback that we need to see play and we need to get reps only played in 2 games.
Right.
JJ lost, time that he's never going to get back, and it even goes back to last year's injury and all of that. But let's say, for instance, that JJ McCarthy didn't get hurt in week 2 and played all those games when the Vikings offensive line was going through 16 different connotations, and when the defense was giving up 165 yards on the ground, and the Vikings were not playing well as a unit. And if JJ were in those games, even though all those other things were going on with the offensive line and with the defense, and if we'd have still plundered our way to that 3-4 record, JJ McCarthy would be receiving so much heat from the Rubes that, he's supposed to be the savior. He's supposed to be the guy that brings everybody above and beyond that. Well, the team was not performing well. And so by JJ not being in there, I think that took a lot of pressure off of him. And then especially to come in after a game where they go to, quote unquote, San Diego and just get destroyed. And people are like, all right, that's it. Season's done. Well, now JJ gets to come in, and the expectations, I think, were probably very low. I'm guessing everyone's expectations against the Lions for JJ McCarthy last week were way, way lower than what the result was. So keep it going, kid. Get the reps. we all understand that you've got film and you're going to have more film every week, and defensive coordinators at some point this season are going to throw something at you that makes you do something you wish you didn't do. Hopefully the Vikings as a team now have enough to overcome that.
Right. Wow. That'll preach. Hey! Alan, what a soliloquy. That was beautiful. You're the Vox of all Voxes.
Ben Gessling wrote that for me.
That's okay. You read it back beautifully. Can't wait to see you this weekend. Thank you, Vox of all Voxes, ever to Vox, Alan Roach. Have a good day, all right?
All right, see you, PA. Bye, Nordo.
See you, Matt.
We have intel that a very accomplished defensive coordinator is talking about a certain running quarterback, and it's taking place right now. What?
Any success that we have and improve in anything that we're having some weaknesses or we're not playing as well as we want to. And that's always the message. All right. Thanks, guys.
You got to be kidding me. Waited all day to hear B-Flow talk about Lamar Jackson.
Oh, my goodness.
The Vox of all Voxes, ever to Vox, goes on a soliloquy, which was fantastic.
It was powerful.
And so then all right, well, cool, we're going to get B-Flow here. Word has it he's talking about Lamar Jackson and running lanes and contain and tackling and all that. And
entertain me.
And all of a sudden, it's gone.
Which, by the way, if you had, mythical $100, mythical $1,000, however much you want to make it, if you had to bet on the over or under press conference length for Brian Flores, which, I could put that thing at 12 and a half. He talked for like 7 minutes today. That has to be a record low.
Started at 11:30
for the defensive coordinator. Yeah, I believe.
And he started talking about, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name. You used it in News du Nord, the Dallas Cowboy.
Oh, Marshawn Nealon.
Nealon. Yeah. So B-Flow started talking about him, Adam Schefter, through, I think, police reports, kind of advanced that story. You can find that on your own via social media if you're so inclined. Well, that's going to be something to which we can listen a little later to see what B-Flow had to say about Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I guess Vikings YouTube channel.
Right. Well, Matt Daniels and or Wes Phillips are next in the pecking order. I wouldn't mind hearing what Matt Daniels had to say about the Miles Price nullified touchdown with Tavierre Thomas being the culprit, and Wes Phillips talking about a Ravens defense that is big and lumbering. Now, they hit hard. But their leading tackler is a Cal rookie taken in the 4th round, something called Teddy Buchanan. And I have no idea who he is. Now, they got a veteran corner named Marlon Humphrey. Can he still run? Guess we'll find out this weekend. Kyle Hamilton ain't that fast, but he's a wonderful overall player. Kyle Hamilton, who knew? And, of course, Chidobe Awuzie. There's just so much to learn about the Ravens defense. So let's hear offensive coordinator Wes Phillips talk about it.
Just for him going forward, just how powerful that each time he's had to come back, he has shown that he can rise to the challenge in some way, shape, or form. So going forward, when you've seen young guys, how important is that?
I think with JJ, you absolutely love the competitiveness. I think the guys feed off of his energy, his fire, his passion for the game. And it's like any young quarterback in this league. He's got to be able to balance the times where, he's completely amped up, but also has to be locked in from one play to the next, regardless of what play it is or what down and distance situation, all those types of things. And there's going to be a continuous growth from a young player who hasn't played a lot in this league. So, and what you love about him is he's a sponge. He's taking everything in all the time, listening to everything, writing things down, asking the right questions, and he's extremely intelligent. He's got this fire and he's jumping around, but he's a very intelligent guy, and I believe that's what you need to have kind of as a baseline before the talent shows up. A baseline level of intelligence, to really be able to function at a high level.
2 minutes to post time.
What do you think of just the operation, just that him orchestrating it on Sunday?
See,
Yeah,
Alec
had
whispers
some
his questions.
miscues, but really, the few things that kind of came up really weren't, JJ as much as, just guys being locked in, being able to hear everything. It was a hostile environment. Those guys are rowdy, and they've been winning a lot of games the last few years. So, but I thought from JJ's standpoint, silent count, motions, checks, some of those checks where you see him stepping up into the line of scrimmage because those linemen just even 4 or 5 yards back can't hear him. So getting down, getting back, making sure he's aware of the play clock, all those types of things. I thought he handled it extremely well. Really for the second road game on the in the division.
What do you see with Kyle Hamilton on film?
1 minute.
Smart, instinctive, long, ball skills, physical. He's really good. Yeah, he's really good.
Didn't say fast.
That back end that they have, and I know they've invested in it over the years. There's a lot of first round picks and a lot of talent back there. But
nobody on their defense
maybe
is fast.
Probably the best overall secondary group that we've played. Thus
wow!
far.
Yeah, we can fade it out there. Oh, geez. Really? Really? I gotta think about that for a second. Well, let's see. Bears, yeah. Falcons, yeah.
Just in terms of the secondary group.
Yeah, secondary group, yeah. Bengals, yeah.
Yeah. Steelers.
What about Ramsey and Slay? Yeah, okay.
Am I out of pocket for saying I actually was not that impressed in totality with what we saw from Ramsey and company?
No.
Against the
No,
Steelers?
you're right. Yeah, you're right. Because on name value, a couple of guys in their 30s, I thought Darius Slay was bad. I thought he was just bad in that game for at key times. But then you get the next week.
Well, Cleveland, it was Newsome and
Denzel Ward.
That's a pretty good tandem.
Denzel Ward's good. Newsome Zanelli got traded. They got a safety that they like.
Grant Delpit.
Yeah, but he didn't play.
Delpit didn't play?
But did he play? Maybe he played, yeah.
I thought they were worried about him into the game. He had that big pick on Jordan Love in the Packers game.
Eagles?
Ooh.
No. Charch? No. Bro, he's right.
I think he's right.
Bro, he's right.
Yeah.
He didn't say, he said Kyle Hamilton is big, sturdy, smart, angular, and an elite football mind. Didn't say it was fast.
No, he did not say he was fast.
But I'm telling you right now, man, I think I have a formula. I think I have a formula where if it's not executed by the play caller of the Minnesota Vikings this weekend offensively, then I think people are going to call Fan Line or get to the 64686 and call it play calling malpractice. And I'll share with you exactly what that is next.
I can't wait until
Here's the deal. What do you think of this?
All right.
Against a Ravens defense that hits hard, is big, is very physical. But I don't think it's the fastest thing that we've seen in the history of the NFL. I love when Justin Jefferson starts in the backfield. Okay. Ooh. When I watch those plays back to watch what some linebackers and safeties are doing, that's a thing. And O'Connell used it a lot in the Lions game. Make sure Jefferson's in the backfield sometimes. How about Addison and or Naylor on jets, reverses, and end arounds? I mean, Addison's fast, and every time they do that bit, he gets a few yards out of it. Naylor has only run a few times in his career. He ran in London against Cleveland for a career-long 16.
Yeah.
And Jalen's fast. So maybe Naylor on some of those. Make these big old trees run left to right, not north and south. And then we talked earlier about setting things up for plays down the road. You do all of that. Jefferson pass. Touchdown, Ben Urisak. Hey, see everybody tomorrow for the Friday football feast at Buffalo Wild Wings Elk River with Alec and Nordo. I'm Paul Allen. Thank you for listening. Here comes Big Daddy Khan. Well, he's here to put that wrap on the show.
van, we head northwest up in Elk River for another Pep Fest. No need to show up merely at our behest, but the more the merrier, it makes it the best. It's another test for this kid QB. Man, there's a lot on his shoulder, and he ain't even 23, but watch out for Hamilton, Roquan, and Humphrey, hoping for a kneel down to seal a victory. And it's time for Operation Contain. Lamar can send our whole plan down a storm drain. Trying to tackle Henry, man, it can give you the bends. My head's still spinning from their 7 tight ends. So again, tomorrow it'll be Elk River. Round of free schooners on Alec. He's a giver. Tip your servers before you head out the door as we proclaim this team will be 5-4.
We love the Vikings!
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.